The coup against President Trump continues on levels that I just can't believe are happening. It's just never ending, this coup. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in need of roof replacement or repair in the state of Florida, Tom Laporta is your guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. Online at LaportaRoofing.com. All right, let's get into it. You know, this whole thing, there's two major permanent Washington class deep state plots going on against President Trump right now. Okay. One of them are these lawfare judges, these federal judges. President Trump gives an order like deport foreign nationals that have invaded the country illegally, who are killing and raping people. Federal judge comes in, stops it. Now, the latest, it's been going on this is day 3 of it, actually, because yesterday was the first day we were able to deal with it, but it came out the day before. But this Signal chat with this Atlantic writer and some of the top people in the Trump administration. Everyone knows that this chat is nothing. This guy, I want to go into a little bit about what happened, but this liberal fake news reporter from the Atlantic was involved. He got invited into a live chat with Pete Hegseth, Mike Walz, Tulsi Gabbard, the vice president, and others, the CIA director, and it was work related, but it was a real casual conversation that he was eavesdropping on, and he got invited into it. And they are turning this in the media into such a spectacle. And, this guy had this story for over a week. I read a couple reports that said 10 days, and it just came out the day before yesterday, late in the day that day. And yesterday was the first, and it continues today, of these congressional hearings with Tulsi Gabbard, the FBI director, the CIA director, Kash Patel and Ratcliffe. They're all there. So this whole thing was a time release so that these people would be in these congressional hearings, and the Democrats on the committees would be able to bark nonsense at them, and some of which I'm going to play coming up in a little bit. But the question is, how did this hardcore left-wing reporter, who's one of the most notorious never-Trumpers, how did he even get into this group? Now, Walz did an interview last night with Laura Ingraham, and he said he didn't know. He's taking responsibility. But the president did a separate interview, and he was talking, I think it was to NBC News, and President Trump said that one of Walz's staff invited this guy in from the Atlantic. So the big question we have here, was it an accident? I say no. How could this be an accident? Right? How could this be an accident? Someone, that is on the contacts list getting invited into this private chat with these big time people. And it just happens to be, out of everyone in the contact list, a reporter, right? What are the odds of that? Just being a reporter, and especially a reporter who is one of the most notorious never-Trumper, anti-Trump, Trump haters out there. This guy from the Atlantic, remember, he was the original reporter who reported one of the biggest lies ever said about President Trump, that he called American service personnel who died in combat suckers and losers. This is the guy that came up with that. So I don't believe it was an accident that he was in there. Now, the president has said that Mike Walz's staff member invited him in. So who are they? If that's true, I mean, I'm not questioning whether Trump's telling the truth. He was briefed. So if he was briefed and was given the truth, who is this person and why did they do it? There's obviously a spy, and what they're doing with this in the press is, and in the Congress is, it's typical, but it's also disgusting, because what they're doing is this administration is so scandal free, and President Trump and his cabinet have not been playing games with the media. And what I mean by that is they're just going out and doing stuff. They're not selling it to the media. Although the president's been doing these Oval Office executive order signings that turn into press conferences on a regular basis in the Oval Office, he's not getting involved in arguments with the press. He's not trying to make his case. He's just saying, I did it. I signed this. This is it. And his cabinet's been doing the same thing. And because of that, the media haven't had anywhere to go. So they've created a scandal with this. And for many reasons, there's not one single reason they're doing it. However, one of the reasons I suspect they're doing it is President Trump has a perfect cabinet with hardcore MAGA Trump loyalists in it. In his first administration, the people he had in his cabinet were not his friend. They were bad guys. They were the enemy. They were people who were trying to bring him down, who were leaking, who were spying, who were undermining him. And now they don't have that. So there's a lot of talk yesterday about Walz resigning or being fired. Now, today that switched. They went Pete Hegseth out. And Pete Hegseth, of course, the military has a lot of money in the military. He's discharging all these transgendered service personnel. They don't like any of that. They don't like anything. They don't like anything any of them are doing. But it seems to me that they're trying to get Trump to fire someone so that they can replace them with someone that is on their team, like a Nikki Haley. And it's amazing to me that after everything they've done to him, that he's overcome, they're still trying. Right? They shot him. They try to shoot him again. Over 90 of these indictments, all these lawsuits, civil lawsuits, criminal charges, mug shots, breaking into his home, all this stuff. Not only did none of that work and he was able to overcome all of it, it made him more popular and more American people are behind him than ever because of all this stuff. And they're still continuing it. Now, with this Signal chat thing, I've seen people already calling it Signal Gate. There's no scandal here at all. There's the attempt by the media to get one going. And this is the second full day of it. It seems to me, though, that even this far into it, the media aren't able to get this off the ground. Now, amongst themselves with the pundit class, the pundits and they can talk about this all day as if there's some type of scandal, as if there's something wrong. But I don't think they've been able to pull it off. I don't think people are buying it. The influence of the traditional mainstream legacy media is just not that strong. They still have a lot of people following it, like they've had these hearings and we're watching it. But I didn't watch it on television. I saw it on X. But they've lost so much of their credibility. They have less than zero credibility now after 10 years of Russia, the gates, the dossiers, all the things they've done to Trump. They don't have credibility with the people anymore. And I don't think they've been able to get off the ground this Signal as a scandal, trying to call it a Signal Gate today. And if President Trump handles it like he seems to be so far, now something else could come out and who knows? But the way that he's handling it now is the same way he's handling this judge that's ordering the stopping of the Venezuelan gang member deportations. And that is just to go, not really talk about it too much. I mean, if he's asked, he'll talk about it, but just continue doing what he's doing and really kind of ignore it. And if President Trump and the cabinet ignore it, it'll blow over. Now, unfortunately, they had these hearings, which is what they timed it for. So we've had 2 full days of hearings with a lot of the people like Tulsi and the CIA director who were involved in the chat in these hearings. So the Democrats have been able to showboat in these hearings and get sound bites that are going viral or semi-viral online, and the television's carrying it live. So, there's a lot of that going on, but this is going to blow over. If President Trump and his cabinet don't get into it and just kind of let it fade away, it'll be gone. And it's not going to be an issue. The attention span of the media and the people is so short. And, what kind of reach really of trust do these legacy media outlets have? None. Absolutely none. And the new media, that's people like me, we're putting in proper where people do go to listen and hear what's really going on with things. We're putting things in the proper perspective. Let me just play this one. This is Jimmy Gomez. He's a Democrat House member from California. You got Tulsi here, but then it gets into Radcliffe, and Radcliffe and him really go at it.
That a lot of people want to talk to is Secretary of Defense Hegseth. And a lot of questions were brought up regarding his drinking habits in his confirmation hearing. To your knowledge, do you know whether Pete Hegseth had been drinking before he leaked classified information?
I don't have any knowledge of Secretary Hegseth's personal habits.
Director Radcliffe.
See, she's not playing. Now listen to Radcliffe. Listen to this exchange.
Yes or no?
No, I'm going to answer that. I think that's an offensive line of questioning. The answer is no. I find it interesting that you want to... I'm going to answer. You asked me a question. You want an answer?
No, listen.
You don't want to focus on the good work that the CIA is doing, that the intelligence community...
Director, I reclaim my time. Director, I reclaim my time. Here...
I mean, you see how these things go. They're always reclaiming their time. They ask questions they really don't want answers to. They don't want anything said. They do this reclaiming, so all of these hearings and this has been going on forever. I rarely watch congressional hearings because they're just like this. The Democrats are the worst. They ask these just god-awful questions. Did you kill and eat those puppies? And you start to say no, and and they reclaim their time and don't let you answer, and they only get the slander out there. That's all these are just set up for showboating slanders of whoever they're questioning, and they don't want the person to give an answer. It's such a waste of time. And I don't know what the constitutional requirements are of these cabinet members and officials within an administration when they go to testify. I know they have to go. I mean, they do have to report to Congress. I know that. But do they really have to answer and play these stupid games? I would like to just sit there in silence. I mean, I hate to even give jerks like this a second of an answer.
I have huge respect for the CIA, huge respect for our men and women in uniform. But this was a question that's on the top of minds of every American, right? He stood in front of a podium in Europe holding a drink. So, of course, we want to know if his performance is compromised. If people were asking if the General Austin was compromised because of a heart issue,
was his performance compromised because of a successful strike?
Back. Mister, I bring my...
you want to know? You want to talk about accepting responsibility? Do you think you should accept
my time?
See, what's even the point? If they're just going to reclaim their time, what is even the point of talking to these people? But, I noticed today, when I was talking about this yesterday, I was saying this guy from The Atlantic is obviously a deep state journalist. If he's not deep state himself, he does their bidding. And I noticed today people were referring to him as a deep state journalist. And I'm not saying they took that from me or were listening to me, but what I'm saying is it's so obvious what happened here. Okay, this staffer that put this Atlantic reporter in is either compromised or a spy who's working for the deep state. That's it. I mean, how else would, out of everyone in the contact list, would this guy be the one that gets in there? It's obvious as the day is long, and you know what? Everyone knows it. That's why they're not able to get this off the ground. Now, the people that hate Trump and hate Hegseth and hate all these people, this is food for them. They're going to believe it because they want to believe it. The people that are attacking Tesla dealerships and vandalizing Teslas, or the MSNBC crowd, of course they're going to believe it and accept it and talk as if it's real, but nothing could be further from the truth. Now, yesterday, I was watching online Sky News out of the UK, and they were covering this, and they're very left-wing, and they were talking about the Trump administration classified leak. They had a real discussion on this on a panel show, and how the national security of the United Kingdom is threatened by this. I mean, come on. It was a very casual conversation about important things, but it was a casual conversation. That's it. Everybody understands this, all right? Right. In fact, the rest of the screenshots the guy took, he released today. Nothing there. He was saying yesterday, the Atlantic reporter, that Radcliffe named a CIA operative in the signal track, and it was his assistant. He mentioned the name of his assistant. That's who he's calling a CIA operative. And how would he know they're a CIA operative by name? And another thing is this. He says he was in the parking lot and he got an invite on his phone in front of the grocery store. If you got a notification on your phone that you were invited to a group chat with the Vice President of the United States, the Director of National Intelligence, the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, and the Secretary of Defense, among others, what would you think? First, you'd probably think you were being punked. And second, you'd probably get nervous. I know I would. Like, how did I get in here? I'm going to get arrested just being in here. What's going on? Has someone hacked my phone? Not this guy. He just casually sat there and took notes and screenshots. Come on. That's one of those things that doesn't pass that proverbial smile test that I'm always talking to you about. You followed all the rules. You did everything right, too. And you have success. You made it. So why does something still feel like it's missing? That quiet whisper of what now? It's not just a thought. It's a signal. It's a wake-up call. From global strategist and author Sharif Labib comes the must-read and life-changing book, Paradigms Unlocked, A Journey to Clarity, Purpose, and Fulfillment. Available on Amazon. Paradigms Unlocked is a blueprint for your transformation. With this book, you'll discover the hidden beliefs shaping your life and learn how to break through the barriers, rewire your mindset, and create a future filled with clarity and purpose. The author has spent over 25 years guiding Fortune 500 companies and high achievers, uncovering the hidden forces that dictate success and fulfillment, helping leaders, organizations, and individuals just like you break through mental barriers, redefine success, and take control of their future. And he's sharing his knowledge with you in Paradigms Unlocked. You know there's more for you, more success, more meaning, more fulfillment. But nothing changes unless you do. Break free, take control, and unlock your true potential with Paradigms Unlocked, A Journey to Clarity, Purpose, and Fulfillment from author Sharif Labib. Available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Take control of your future right now with Paradigms Unlocked on Amazon. Are you looking for a new job and tired of filling out endless applications? Let Lift My CV take over the job search for you. Lift My CV is the new AI-powered job search agent that finds and auto-applies to the best jobs for you, so you can land that dream job faster and easier than ever. Lift My CV is easy to use too. Just set your preferences, upload your resume, and Lift My CV handles everything else. It scans top job boards like LinkedIn, Monster, and more, and fills out the applications while you focus on prepping for that big interview. Your job search just got a lot easier. There's no subscriptions and no commitments. Sign up right now at liftmycv.com. That's liftmycv.com. Apply faster. Get hired sooner. Are you confused by food labels? Wondering if organic is really better? Find the answers to those questions and more in the new book from author Evgeny Trufkin, The Anti-Factory Farm Shopping Guide, available on Amazon. Filled with fun illustrations as well as easy-to-follow insights, The Anti-Factory Farm Shopping Guide breaks down factory farm versus organic food, shares the truth about pesticides and what labels really mean. Plus, there's free video lessons that help you take action fast. You'll learn much more, too, like the differences between caged, cage-free, free-range, and pasture-raised meats and eggs. Learn to easily identify genetically modified foods, the myth about safe pesticides, why seeing vegetarian feed on a label is actually a bad thing, even if it's organic, and much, much more. Start eating healthier, shopping smarter, and avoid food industry tricks, and order your copy of The Anti-Factory Farm Shopping Guide from author Evgeny Trufkin on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Treat yourself to the ultimate indulgence with Rocher Milk Bath Company. Their luxurious bath and body products are designed for individuals of all ages, including those with sensitive skin. They're perfect for your self-care routine, and they make a great gift for birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, or any holiday throughout the year. When you visit the store online at RocherMilkBath.com, explore their signature line of milk baths that include the coconut milk bath, the lavender milk bath, the oatmeal milk bath, the decadent strawberry champagne milk bath, and that's just the beginning of their incredible collection. Milk baths have been treasured for centuries. Even Cleopatra was said to bathe in milk and honey for her radiant complexion. The secret to milk baths lies in the gentle exfoliation and silky softness provided by the natural lactic acid found in milk. Rocher Milk Bath Company believe your skin deserves the very best. So indulge in a soothing escape that will leave your skin feeling soft, smooth, and absolutely glowing. Visit the store right now at RocherMilkBath.com. That's ROCHE Milkbath.com. Luxury isn't just a treat, it's a way of life. RocherMilkBath.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Greg Kelly over on Newsmax did an interview with Trump, and President Trump brought up something really big. Listen.
About Ashley Babbitt. It was a bad shooting. My father can tell you that. Anybody.
It's a terrible thing.
I don't know if you know this, but the Department of Justice right now is still kind of fighting that case. The family of Ashley Babbitt is suing the government, wrongful death. The DOJ right now officially is still opposing that lawsuit, trying to justify it. Shouldn't that be something that can just be settled at this point?
Well, I'll look into that. I mean, you're just telling me that for the first time. I haven't heard that. I'm a big fan of Ashley Babbitt, okay? And Ashley Babbitt was a really good person who was a big MAGA fan, Trump fan, and she was innocently standing there. They even say trying to sort of hold back the crowd. And a man did something to her that was unthinkable when he shot her. And I think it's a disgrace. I'm going to look into that. I did not know that, no.
And the officer who shot her, Michael Byrd, is still on duty. They gave him a raise, and they gave him a medal, and I believe a promotion.
I think it's a disgrace.
He's a federal employee. Would you or could you do something like that?
I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to look at that, too. His reputation was, I won't even say, let's find out about his reputation, okay? We're going to find out. But I watched that, and I saw that. And by the way, she was killed, but nobody else was killed. And, you know, the people that went down there, they had no guns. They didn't have guns. There was something to do with the FBI. There was something to do with Antifa and others, and it wasn't mentioned. And there's never been a group of people, I think, with the exception of maybe over the years, a couple of groups were treated pretty harshly, but essentially never treated so badly. And as you know, I let them out with pardons. I know you were very happy. I watch your show all the time. You were extremely happy about it. And plenty of other people were too. People don't realize this whole movement that we have is just it's a very inspiring thing, what's happened to our country.
It is. Now, a few things here. Now, you know, this Ashley Babbitt investigation that he's talking about doing in the police officer who killed her is very important, you know, and this is really a sad reality about January 6th is it's been already framed as something by the media all these years. And probably the historical record will show that it was an insurrection by Trump and his supporters. And the reason I'm not saying it, well, obviously it was not. But there has been, I mean, maybe literally millions of hours of discussion in the media about this for 4 or 5 years, right? Over 4 years. So in the future, news is what they'll go to for what, you know, in 50 years, 100 years, when they study this time, they're going to go to the news. And if we don't have investigations like this, what future generations and historians will look at is what Rachel Maddow was saying about it, right? You know, so this investigation into the Ashley Babbitt murder is so important. You know, if President Trump had not been reelected. And even if another Republican would have become president, those J6ers would still be sitting in prison. They would never get out, and they would die there, and without trials in many cases, right? You know, and who would have thought something like that could have happened in America? We all know what happened on January 6th. It wasn't anything like they've defined it, but they're always going to go back to that. So it is important for this investigation not only to happen, but for it to be made very, very public, because they've dominated the narrative on that all these years. We have to start getting the truth out there and start dominating what really happened through proper investigations like this one that President Trump is talking about. And that's an amazing thing. Now, back to this deep state op with the phone call. Now, today, Hakeem Jeffries, he wants Pete Hegseth to resign. And if you notice, the one Democrat with Radcliffe was accusing Hegseth of having a drinking problem, which, of course, is absurd. This is Hakeem Jeffries today.
Ultimately, the buck stops with the president of the United States of America, which is why I made clear to President Trump yesterday in my correspondence that the Secretary of Defense should be fired immediately if he's not man enough to own up to his mistakes and resign in disgrace.
What was his mistake? We're talking about Pete Hegseth here. What was his mistake, and what should he resign over? Does Hakeem Jeffries have any thoughts on that? Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you'd like to support the program, becoming a Patreon supporter is a great way to do that. And if you're a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of all the podcast episodes, plus you're supporting all of the work that I do on all my platforms and all the different shows. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, John S., Frank, Dale, David, Laura B., Rob L., and SF Jr. These are our top Patreon supporters. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of the episode. So this talk about Pete Hegseth now, this is just, listen, we always know that the Democrats are going to oppose anything Trump does. I mean, that's just the way it is. But it is so important to dig in and support all of our people, Pete Hegseth, Mike Walz, unless Trump drops someone. Like if Trump comes out and says, okay, this person really messed up and they got to be fired, that's different. But Trump said Mike Walz is a good guy. He's doing great work. And in fact, when Mike Walz was on that Laura Ingraham interview last night, he said on the way over, he was on the phone with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk has a team looking into this Signal chat. And I'm really excited about that because we're going to find out what happened without some government person going through and giving us some bizarre accounting of what they want us to think happened. All right. And that's a very positive thing that he's looking into it. But we've got to stick together. And so often Republicans start to cave. I'm not saying he's caving, but I heard Charlie Kirk say today on his program, he said Michael Waltz either has a spy on his staff or he's lying. Well, okay, I'm going to stick with the spy. I'm not going to be questioning Mike Waltz because Trump is not questioning Waltz. So we shouldn't be questioning him either. Now, Jasmine Crockett's been all over the place. And in fact, yesterday, she grabbed the camera away from a reporter who works for Laura Loomer. And when she grabbed the camera from the guy, she has very long nails. She really scratched him pretty bad on his hand. I mean, it was bad. It was like an assault. She assaulted. And Jasmine Crockett, who's kind of become the face of the big mouth lunatics of the left lately. And I don't know why she's becoming the face of their party, but she certainly is. And she talks really ghetto. Let me play this for you.
And because we in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
Okay, yeah, of course, she's making fun of Greg Abbott being in a wheelchair. But this ghetto talk is an act. She comes from a wealthy family. She went to what has been described as one of the most expensive private schools in St. Louis, and she does not really speak that way. And let me play this. This is an interview she gave, not talking in this fake ghetto act she's doing. She said, so we out in D's Hot, D-E-E-Z Hot, D's. Okay, that's not how she normally talks. Here's an interview she gave before she started this ghetto act. Listen.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was.
You know, she talks totally normal.
Always decided is that I would step up when there was a need.
Listen, he up there, he's doing all kinds.
Now they're doing a montage here, and you get to hear some ghetto. I'm not going to play the rest of the montage because I already played that clip in the beginning, but it is a complete act, and I really wish that some people in the media would start exposing this, right? I mean, what she's doing, not only is it completely fake, but it's really kind of racist, isn't it? And you might say, well, how could she, it's racist against black people. This is how she views black people. I know she's black, but she's become a lot more popular since she's been doing this fake ghetto accent. And she really should be exposed. I've seen people do this before. There's been some high profile people that everyone knows about, right? Hillary Clinton used to change her accent and way of speaking based on the audience sometimes. There were some others. But she was probably one of the more famous people that did that. And she got caught doing that many, many times. And the reality of the situation is it's going to catch up to her because what the Democrats are promoting and what you hear her promoting right now is not where the hearts and minds of people are. People are on the MAGA train right now in this country. People are tired of this. And, they call us a cult. They're the cult. They're this tiny little group of people that really are speaking to not that many people. The Jasmine Crockett's, the Hakeem Jeffries. They're talking to the people that watch MSNBC and The Atlantic. Okay. And that's not very many people. So, they've made this big mistake. Well, we lost, so let's get more radical. We're not radical enough. Well, good luck with that. Now, this Signal chat case, I mean, this just really shows you this conspiracy against the president, how deep it goes, how bad it is. You see this judge that's been stopping the deportations of the Venezuelan gang members. Someone's brought a civil suit involving this Signal chat case, and it was assigned to the same judge that's stopping the deportations by Trump. What are the odds of that? Out of all the federal judges. And Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House yesterday, came out and said that the Congress, meaning the House, has the authority to defund radical leftist judges. And he even said that they can disband federal courts, that they have the power to disband federal courts. And that is without impeachment hearings or investigations or impeachment trials and having a trial in the Senate. This is just the House. This isn't, the House of Representatives has incredible powers because they're in charge of all the money of the federal government. So they have a lot of powers. And a lot of these things are powers and things that they can do that people talk about, but none of them do it. And Mike Johnson himself has come out and talked about this. What these federal judges are doing is without question a coup. We got two coups going on here. We've got the judicial coup and we've got the deep state coup going on with the Signal chat. And we've known since 2010 that Chief Justice John Roberts was compromised. But now what we're finding out from him is a lot more. We're finding out now that he's one of the leaders of this entire coup that's been going on against the president all these years. Because, not only did he come out the other day and defend this judge that's stopping the deportations, now he has the Signal case, but John Roberts, he's the chief FISA court judge, John Roberts, and Judge Roberts, Chief Justice John Roberts, appointed this judge to the FISA court. And also the judge is part of that secret Star Chamber group of judges that John Roberts leads. So, these people that have been against Trump, while I always knew that John Roberts was not on our side, we knew that since he allowed Obamacare to happen with the Supreme Court ruling. Now we find out that he's one of the leaders of the coup, and he probably has been all along. I wanted to play this clip. This is a purpled hair school teacher. She has purple hair. Pink hair. Pink and purple hair. And she's talking about ICE raids on her school and what she will do when federal agents from Immigration and Customs Enforcement come looking for illegals at her school. Listen to this.
As a public school teacher, I have no idea where they are. I don't recall their names. I have no idea what country they're from. Can't recall the last time I saw them. I have no information about that. I'm not aware of any of that. I don't recall. I have no idea.
Isn't that nice?
I don't know anything about that. I don't recognize that name. This is where we're at in public education. You work in a field that is closely intertwined with vulnerable populations like the ill, children, the poor. You need to now more than ever refresh your memory on your rights, your students' rights, your patients' rights in terms of immigration. Because now ICE can raid these, what used to be safe spaces where people could come to get medical care or come to get education. And now those spaces are being invaded. So your best friend is, I don't know. I'm not aware of that. I can't recall. Do not say anything to these motherfuckers.
Okay, class act. That's cool. And by the way, she made this video in her classroom. It's interesting that she's making a video talking about how she's going to lie to federal agents. Lying to federal agents is a felony that you can go to prison for. So if ICE comes to her school and she does this, not only will she be arrested and charged with lying to federal agents, they'll take this video that she put this on TikTok. They'll take her TikTok video as evidence against her. Charlie Kirk, I really wish he would focus on recruiting young people to become school teachers at every level, from pre-K all the way through college, because one of the biggest problems we have is that we've turned over our education system to liberals in the classrooms. And we need some smart conservatives in our classrooms that are American, that are pro-American, right? Not this. Now, one of the things President Trump said in the cabinet meeting the other day is he's going to look into criminal activities conducted by Planned Parenthood. Listen.
I just want to follow up on that. If Planned Parenthood is defunded, would you look into...
Now, that's Brian, who used to be with Right Side. Is he with Real America's Voice now? He's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
The harvesting of baby organs that they've done throughout the years and maybe go after some criminal prosecution on that.
Well, I think you're talking about a subject that is a heated subject, and we'll look into it. We're going to look into everything, but that's certainly a subject that's been debated for a long time, and we will look into it, yeah.
Okay, and because Planned Parenthood is beginning a lot of federal funding, and now that we've controlling everything, when I say we, I mean MAGA, that's hopefully will end, okay, really. And, I'd forgotten about that story. I don't know, forgotten, but it's a story from many years ago with Lila Rose and everything, and it's one of those stories, there's been so many things that happen that it's been forgotten about, and I'm glad to hear Brian Glenn bring that up to the president. When he says we're going to look into it, he's serious. The country has changed. There has been such a change in this country. The Democrats, and I think most people in the country don't even understand. Like as an example, I saw this story today. Columbus, Ohio, which is my hometown, and although I've been in Florida for almost my entire life, but I did go to school in Columbus, Ohio, from kindergarten through fourth grade. And when I moved to Florida, I started fifth grade. I moved the summer before fifth grade to Florida. And the city of Columbus has its own school district, their own, like a lot of these, like Boston, right? Their own school district. Columbus City Schools sent a letter to families informing them that the names and genders of students in their system are being changed to reflect students' legal names and sex to align their policies with Ohio state laws and Trump executive orders. And they sent this out to parents, and even talking about Trump's executive orders. See how things... Now, first off, in the public schools, why are children going by names that aren't theirs and a different gender? I remember there was an issue. This was about 10 or more years ago on Facebook. Anybody, you may remember this when I bring it up, but Facebook had this policy. I don't know if it's still in effect or not. By the way, if you use Facebook, follow me in my Facebook group, Brian Craig Show on Facebook. Okay, Brian Craig Show on Facebook. I've got a group there, and you're welcome to join it. Brian Craig Show on Facebook. But Facebook had a policy. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is still in effect. So this was many years ago. You had to use your legal name on your Facebook profile. And there were a group of drag queens who were professional drag queens. They worked as drag queens who were challenging Facebook in court to be able to use their drag names on their Facebook profiles, and they lost. I remember that at the time. It was a very controversial thing, and they lost. Now, I don't know if that's still the policy at Facebook, but if you're in public school, obviously you should be using your legal name, especially if you're a child. You shouldn't be able to change your name if you're a child. And you can run into a lot of problems. Remember John Ritter, the actor from Three's Company? One of the things that, John Ritter died, and one of the things that led to his death, he had to go to the emergency room. And when he got there, he was using a fake name for privacy. A lot of celebrities use fake names. And because of that, there was a delay in getting his medical records. And they said that may have been one of the reasons he died in the emergency room. I don't know, but I remember them reporting that at the time. So if you're a child in school and you're not using your legal name, what happens if your parents come to school to pick you up and they're looking for you and they're using the name they gave you when you were born? They can't find you. Will they even let you? Will the school even let the parents sign them out because they don't even know the name of their child? There can be all kinds of problems. What if there's a disaster or an emergency at the school, God forbid? One of these tragic school shootings, and you're not using your legal name, and the parents show up and they can't find you because the police have you down with this other name that you made up. That's not even the gender that you. It is insane and it's stupid. But Columbus, Ohio is very liberal. Columbus, Ohio made this change to their school policy. They're very liberal. Remember, this is the city, Columbus, Ohio. A couple years ago, they took down the statue of Christopher Columbus from downtown Columbus because it was offensive and ethnocentric and all this. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to drive by that statue all the time. They had a big statue of Christopher Columbus, and it was a pretty cool statue. They took it down and put it somewhere else out of sight on display inside of a building somewhere. But it was a massive statue in downtown Columbus. That's how liberal they are. Remember, they wanted to even change the name of Columbus because they thought the name was offensive. So when you have a city as liberal as Columbus, who did those crazy things, doing this with the gender of the kids in the school, you're in a new country, aren't you? A good country that's MAGA, where you have like grown-ups running things. If you're a homeowner or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Laporta Roofing has been in the roofing and construction business since 1984, with thousands of roof installations and thousands of satisfied customers. Did you know that in the state of Florida, you can open a roofing company and borrow someone else's license? Tom Laporta is the holder of his roofing and general contractor's licenses, not like the other companies that borrow other people's licenses. So be sure who you're dealing with. Tom Laporta and his team are honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Roofing carries all insurance, including workers' compensation on all of its employees, not just a waiver like other contractors. Laporta Roofing can handle any type of roofing job too. Residential roofing, HOAs, condominiums, and churches. If it's roofing, Laporta Roofing can do it. So call Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, or connect online at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602. Laporta Roofing, the go-to roofing company you can trust.
This is Dr. Philip Appleton. I'm a chiropractic physician. I've seen thousands and thousands of patients in my career. I've been a chiropractic physician here in Pompano Beach for 40 years. We're open 6 days a week. If you have sciatica, you have bursitis, you have tendonitis, you're tired of taking the pills, the drugs, the injections, and you heard that you have to live with it. Well, there's a lot of times you don't have to live with it. I've had great success with helping people. My testimonials are marvelous with patients. They love the treatment because no injections, there's no medication, there's no surgery. There's none of that. It's strictly either the laser or the acupuncture I do or shockwave therapy I do. Open 6 days a week. Come in for the free consultation and I'll be willing to look at you and help you.
Take advantage of that no-charge consultation with Dr. Appleton. Remember, appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Lynn from Boynton. I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh, my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida. I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels, too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on. And it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next MyPillow commercial, just so you know, okay?
Okay.
Okay, just to let you know. You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her MyPillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, Kane, at checkout at MyPillow.com. What if the news didn't just tell you the story, but made you live it? Author Emily Tiffany Joy takes you inside a near-future society where the line between fact and fiction disappears in Technesthesia, a new journalism available on Amazon. In Technesthesia, enter a world where technology has rewritten human perception. Truth is no longer reported, it's experienced. In the future of journalism, memory, identity, and reality itself are no longer your own. If truth can be felt rather than proven, does it still matter if it's real? Technesthesia is a mind-bending, thought-provoking journey into the next evolution of media. Author Emily Tiffany Joy is a philosopher and founder of the Center for Non-Adversarial Knowledge Structuring. It's a groundbreaking initiative that's dedicated to ethical innovation, responsible artificial intelligence frameworks, and much more. The future isn't coming, it's already here. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Technesthesia from author Emily Tiffany Joy.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Now, this morning on the radio, those of you that were listening or watching on YouTube, I had to actually end the show after an hour and switch to a best of show. And, you know, most mornings during the week, I go out and get coffee in the morning on the way to the radio station or before the show. And I'll do a live stream on YouTube in the mornings. And it's usually like half an hour. And I was not feeling well. In fact, I was not feeling well all morning. Like you guys know how early I set my alarm for 1:30 a.m. And I spend 2 to 3 hours doing show prep before I go on the air. And I try to do as much of my work that I have for the day before I go on the air, because when I get off the air, there's a whole, I have meetings and things like this. I have to do phone meetings, sometimes in-person meetings. I have to drive here. I have to drive there. So if I get my busy work done, I can, right after the show, I can head out to any meetings I have. It saves me a lot of hours in the day. But when I woke up today, I was just not feeling well. And as the morning went on, I was feeling worse and worse. It was my stomach. I took some Tums. They did nothing. And I'm doing this live stream in front of the coffee shop this morning, and I was debating, should I do the show? I was telling people what was going on, what I was experiencing, and some people had suggested Pepto-Bismol, which I have at home. And Kathy has everything at home. We're set up. Okay. So I came home and I took the Pepto at about 15 minutes before showtime. And about 12 to 15 minutes after I took, I started feeling better. So I go on the air at 6 and I'm feeling better. And I don't even think I mentioned it that I was feeling bad. And I'm like, oh, this is great, And I read the bottle. You can take the Pepto. I took the double dose, which is 30 milliliters, and you can take that double dose every hour, but you can only take so much a day. So you can't take it like every hour for 24 hours. There is a limit on it, but you can take it every hour till you feel better. So I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm feeling better. And I took it at 5:45. So at 6:45 during the commercial break on the radio, I'll go take another dose. This is going to be great. And then after I was on the air for about 15 minutes, not only was my sickness coming back, it was worse. And I knew then I was not going to be able to finish the show. I knew it was not going to happen. So I texted, and I was talking about this on the air, and I texted Mike the board out because today I was at my home studio. I want you to think about it, how sick I was that even though I was in my home studio, I couldn't go on. And I texted him, could you have a best of show ready? Because I don't think I'm going to be able to go on with the show. I should have taken the whole day off. I wish I would have taken the whole day off because I just would have gone to bed. And he said, yeah. But I have to, Mike didn't tell me this. This is just what I know. I have to, since I started the show live, they can't just cut into a best of in the middle of an hour. So I got to go until the top of the hour at 7. And I take the break at the bottom of the hour. At 6:30, I go and sit down and I'm like, I'm just getting worse and worse. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I can take the medication again. So I come back on the air after the bottom of the hour, and that was it. I was feeling so bad and so sick. But I had to stick through it. And I went to the break finally at the top of the hour. And they cut away to a best of. And I left the studio, went out to the couch, laid down, and fell asleep in seconds. And I'm not 100%, but I'm feeling a lot better, and I'll be back. The reason I didn't take off today automatically is because next week is our MAGA cruise with our great listeners. And since I've got a whole week off the air next week, although I will be live streaming on YouTube, and a lot of times on the cruise, I'll upload a podcast or two while I'm on the cruise. That's not unusual. And I do live streams on YouTube on the cruises, but I'm not going to be on the radio next week. And so I got next week off the air. I got to get through it because I've done many shows not feeling well, but today was not one of those days. It's really tough. And I felt like not only did I feel physically bad and sick, I'm not going to get into the details of what I was feeling or what happened and what was going on, but I felt bad actually leaving the show like that an hour in. And it's just, there's thousands and thousands of people listening on all these radio stations from the Treasure Coast down to Key West. And I'm through Miami and everything else. And I'm like, oh, this is just, it was the worst. It was the worst, but I got through it and I'm here now. And podcast. I said if I felt better, I would upload a podcast today. So I'm doing, but I'm still not 100%. But that was really rough. And tomorrow, I have to go to the radio station in Palm Beach. And yesterday, I started doing the show from my home studio most mornings on the radio. I don't know. How long have I been doing that now? A month or two? And I go up to the radio station on certain days. Sometimes I have to go up there for meetings or for something. And Tuesday, I had to go up yesterday. And then tomorrow, Thursday, I have to go up. But yesterday, I actually timed how much time I was on the road. And it took me from the time I left my driveway to park at the radio station in the morning with no traffic was an hour and 10 minutes. And then on the way home, it took me an hour and 45 minutes to get home. So you put that together, you've got like 3 hours on the road. And that 3 hours on the road every day, I know a lot of people drive to work and everything, but it's just too much. You get to a point in your life where you gotta stop pushing your body beyond where you should be pushing it. And it's hard for me to do that. and Kathy and my daughter have both been trying to get me to broadcast from home for a long, long time. And I was resistant because I like going to the radio station. I enjoy the radio station. We have a beautiful studio and everything, but 3 hours on the road every day is a lot. Not just the physicality of it, because that's a lot of driving on the way there in the morning. I could be doing show prep, or I could sleep in a little bit. Or, and the drive home, that's very hectic because I'm leaving during rush hour for a lot of people because I get off the air at 9. And, so that's time that I miss that I could be working. And it's also exhausting to be on the road. I mean, that's like driving to Disney World. It's actually more time on the road than it would take me to get to Disney World from my house. So, so I'm glad I'm able to work at home. Thanks to the help of our Patreon supporters and Steve Kane and the radio station allow me to do it, because I wasn't sure that they would be into me doing that. And they all were supportive of me doing it. And I got to tell you, you guys will know more than but I think listening to the show, I think the show is better in so many ways when I don't have all that driving to do, because I'm more focused on the show. I'm not tired from the drive. It's just, I think the show sounds better. The only thing I've not been able to do yet is sleep in more, because I was planning on being able to sleep in an hour or two in the morning since I don't have to drive that far. So I could get a little more sleep in the mornings. I haven't done that. I'm still getting up at 1:30, because I've always gotten up early. I used to be on the air overnights at I used to do a live show 6 days a week, Monday through Saturdays from 3 a.m. till 6 a.m. So I've always been on the air overnights, early in the mornings and overnights in radio. And so it's a habit, but I always want to make sure that I do extra show prep. And each day on the show, I might get to 5 or 10% of my show prep most days, if that much. Sometimes I only get to 1 or 2 stories, and I've got a whole stack of stuff. If you follow me on X, Brian Craig Show, you get all my show prep. I don't get to most of it because, but I always want to be overly prepared and informed and before I go on the air. So I still get up early. But anyway, I appreciate all your support, guys, out there. And it was not easy to end the show an hour into it and have them go to the best of. It was not easy for me to do that. All right. Now, there are some stories in the news, though, that I want to talk about. This is a great story. This Columbia University student from Korea that's on the run from immigration. Have you heard this story? This is great. This is an awesome thing. And this is the kind of thing that should have been going on forever. A Columbia University student who's on the run from federal authorities, by the way, while she's on the lam, while she's running, while she's hiding from federal agents, she's also suing the Trump administration to avoid being deported after going on the run from ICE agents over her pro-Palestinian views and activism. I cannot pronounce her first name. Young Seo, age 21, said that ICE are moving to have her deported after she was arrested on March 5th. She's a lawful permanent resident. Now, this is a thing, a lot of these people that are lawful permanent residents or have student visas, they think they have a right to be here. They're still guests in our country. Chung, who is also a lawful permanent resident, was arrested that day while at a protest of Barnard College where pro-Palestinian students staged a sit-in. A group of over 50 students stormed and occupied a campus building and assaulted and injured a staff member at the school, and the staff member had to go to the hospital. Days after her arrest, Chung says in her suit that ICE officials signed an arrest warrant and went to her parents' residence looking for her. On March 10th, she says a federal law enforcement official told her lawyer that her lawful permanent resident status was being revoked. 3 days later, she said that agents executed search warrants at 2 Columbia-owned residences, including her dorm, seeking travel and immigration records and other documents. She's lived in the U.S. since age 7 when her parents brought her here from South Korea. Her lawyers have not commented to the media as of this moment. She's a college junior. She's seeking a court order. Now, this is an interesting thing. If she's on the run, isn't that she's evading federal law enforcement? Isn't that another major felony on top of these other things they want to deport her for? The junior is seeking a court order to block the Trump administration's efforts to deport non-citizens who participate in campus protests against Israel's military actions in Gaza. That's how they want to characterize it, because, they want to hit on the sad popularity of anti-Semitism in this country, which I am a very strong supporter of Israel. But no, what they're doing is there's a lot of foreign students, like this girl who's Korean, or that Palestinian Mahmoud that they're trying to deport. They're foreign nationals that are in this country causing dissent and division, violence, mobs to do things, and revolution is what they're trying to do. And they're also openly supporting enemies of America. And these are guests in our country. When you're a guest in someone's country, you don't have the right to do all that. She's asking a judge to prevent the Trump administration from detaining her, moving her out of New York City, or removing her from the country while her lawsuit plays out. So they figure they can keep that in court for years and Trump will be out of office. The suit filed in federal court says ICE's shocking actions against Ms. Chung form part of a larger pattern of attempted U.S. government repression of constitutionally protected protest activities and other forms of speech. Well, the constitutional rights apply to everyone that's in the country. That's true. However, if you're a guest, whether you're, a U.S. A foreign resident or a student visa, while you do have constitutional rights, you don't have the right to organize a revolution, which is what they're doing. And that's when you can be deported. You're still here as a guest. According to her suit, those in government are attempting to use immigration enforcement to suppress speech they dislike. They're trying to stop revolution and dissent and division in these colleges. A Homeland Security spokesperson said she's engaged in concerning conduct, including when she was arrested by the NYPD during the pro-Hamas protest. She's being sought for removal proceedings under the immigration laws. She'll have an opportunity to present her case before an immigration judge. So not only is she committing all kinds of felonies by being on the lam, anyone who's giving her help is also harboring a federal fugitive. So she's getting a lot of people around her to commit felonies too. And if they get an immigration judge to command her to appear, she can be held in contempt on that. Her lawsuit cited the case of Mahmoud and other college activists who have spoken out. He's the Palestinian from Syria. These are the kind of things that should have been going on forever and ever in this country. And this idea that these foreign nationals can come over here and do all these things and get away with it is insane. Now, egg prices have dropped 59% since February 28th. So in less than a month, egg prices have dropped 59% in the United States. Listen.
Yeah, so good thing for egg lovers. Egg prices have definitely turned a corner. President Trump touting that his administration has been able to bring down the cost of eggs, with large egg prices on average down 59% since February 28th. And that's according to USDA data.
Wow. I mean, yeah, 59% in less than a month. In less than a month. That's why you don't hear me getting calls anymore from people asking me about egg prices. They got to move on to a new talking point, which is this deep state op against the Trump administration with this chat. Now, by the way, let me know what you guys think in the comments about this this Signal app. Do you think it's a controversy? Do you think that it's a deep state op against the president? Do you think that Walz should be removed, step down, resign, be fired by the president? I say no. I mean, this is obviously the Democrats. They have no issues, so they're grabbing onto this. But there's no doubt in my mind this is a deep state op. Let me know what you think. I'm Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk.